Coming to you live from the darkest depths of the patriarchy. I am your host, Marina Mikhailis, and with me I have Danny Duchamp. Hi, Danny.
Hi there, Rin. How you doing?
I'm fine. I'm doing very well. And today we're going to talk about um, why I think social justice warriors exist, but me and Danny, we were having a rather interesting conversation on the bathroom issue on Twitter, and let's see, um, let me see if I can find it. Oh, by the way, why I think social justice warriors exist in the meantime. The reason
Yeah.
why I think social justice warriors exist, and me and Shauna, we already talked about this with Senior Mini Bagel. Um, as you know, before it was feminist versus anti-feminist, like a few years ago, it was atheists versus Christians. Remember that?
Yep, I remember doing that. I never started a channel. I kind of regret it. That was fun.
Yeah, like you remember, like how there was like the amazing atheist Jacqueline Glenn, Mr.
Well,
Revolution, and all of the
Jacqueline.
atheist YouTubers. Like there's so many different atheist
Hmm.
YouTubers trying to pawn and go after Christians.
Well, I think Jacqueline Glenn, and Mr. Repzion are fairly recent compared to the other ones. When I think of like the atheist YouTubers, I'm thinking of the Amazing Atheist and Thunderfoot, and like Nicotine 2, and who else was there? Bionic Dance. Even Brett Keane was kind of there. He switched between being a Christian and an atheist. Uh, and if you're really old school, then there's Capino Awesome.
I'm only familiar with the anti-Amazing Atheist. Like the Amazing Atheist was the very first one I found. Like the very first one I've ever found, and the one I kind of just stuck with the most. And my other favorite was Mr. Repsian. Those are my two favorites. And I didn't really pay attention to anybody else. But I mean, the Amazing Atheist is funny, and he posts very regularly. Well, this is the way I remember it. When it was Christians versus atheists, and they were having the morality discussion, the atheists, not to the extent of social justice warriors, but like atheists would mention that the Christians hate gays, and the atheists don't hate the gays. The atheists are for gay rights and trans rights, and it's kind of like the Christians, like Westboro Baptist Church hold up signs like God hates fags and whatnot. And not the amazing atheists, but the atheist community is kind of a lot like we're the accepting ones. And there have been talks like the KKK are Christians, and there are more racist people in the Christian community than there is in the atheist community. And it's kind of like even with the satanic temple, or the whole Ten Commandments thing, where it bothered the atheist community that there's the Ten Commandments, so that they wanted to either have their atheist thing up, or they really wanted to remove the Ten Commandments. So the Ten Commandments bothered the atheists, so it must be removed. It offended the atheists, so it needs to go. And not like that, but it's kind of like it's all part of the whole morality discussion. And I do think that there were atheists really bothered that they weren't seen as moral, like probably more so than other atheists, because it's kind of like to be viewed as an evil devil worshiper for being an atheist. I think that some atheists really took it too hard, and it really upsets them. And so I think that the whole is kind of like, the whole the Ten Commandments bothered me and it needs to go away. Or, it's kind of like, well, the atheist community, we love the gays, the Christians hate the gays. And I think that this kind of spiraled into social justice warriors.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think that the gay debate had a lot to do with the social justice warrior thing, or at least it was the start of it. I think that there were other catalysts too. I remember Lacey Green, who used to be Go Green 18, the first time. So she used to be an atheist. She used to do atheist videos, talking, arguing with Christians and whatnot. And she got into a disagreement. I can't remember exactly what about, with the Amazing Atheist. And the Amazing Atheist made what she considers to be sexist jokes towards her. I think he referred to her as having blowjob lips. It was quite funny, but Go Green 18, as soon as the Amazing Atheist did his video response to her, she went full damsel. She started going, I can't believe that he would do these things. And I think that she got way more response for that than she did for her atheist videos. So she started switching to damseling, i.e. being a feminist. So I think that that's another way that it sort of happened. I think a bunch of people followed Go Green 18 into the feminism thing right out of the atheism, and a lot of people sided with the Amazing Atheist on that. So that's where you get a lot of atheist anti-feminists. So I think that's just one of many, many, many different little things. But I think there were a lot of little things. I do think that the gay debate had something to do with it, but I think there was lots of other things like that. I mean, did you subscribe to Lacey when she was an atheist?
No. Like I said, I only really followed the Amazing Atheist, Mr. Epsilon, and Dark Matter 2525. At least, when it comes to Jacqueline Glenn, I saw Jacqueline Glenn flip-flopping on her ideas, and for me, it's like, how is it that I am the only person who notices Jacqueline Glenn flip-flopping on ideas? Because there's a lot of subscribers, and it's kind of like, when I saw her, she kept growing and growing and growing. But for me, I just saw Jacqueline Glenn flip-flopping on a bunch of ideas.
Well, the reason Jacqueline Glenn flip-flopped on a bunch of ideas is because none of the ideas were hers. She stole them from other places. So all that you're seeing there is her stealing ideas from two different people who disagree.
Yeah, but like when I first noticed Jacqueline Glenn, she was still growing. Like, she was still in the process of becoming like more and more popular. It's like she would get like 200 or like 2,000 new subscribers every single day.
Shit. Yeah, no, well, she did grow pretty quickly, and she had a reasonably good strategy. Find some famous intellectuals and stuff like Sam Harris, or just well-known intellectuals, or even just YouTubers. Say what they've been saying, just copy them whole cloth, but you'll get views because it's like, oh, look, it's a somewhat attractive girl saying it.
Yeah, exactly. For me, I just think that a large reason for why Jacqueline Glenn is so popular is because she's very sexy and she's willing to just talk dirty into the camera. Like, she has this video where she's lying around scantily clad, saying really perverted things into the camera. And I was just like, oh my goodness, there's so much sexism on YouTube. People are leaving dirty comments because I'm a woman.
Yeah.
It's like she invites it, When I say she invites
she's asking for it.
Yeah, like, she has a video called Spits and Swallow. She has videos where she's in lingerie. And she's like, oh my goodness, people are saying all these perverted sexual things to me. I wonder why. I think it's because I'm a woman. When you are a woman on YouTube, you're bound to get sexually harassed. Why are these even doing this to me?
Yeah, I don't know. It's just being a woman on YouTube. I don't understand why so many people feel the need to play that as a victim card. It's like that they say, "Oh, people make slightly sexual comments towards me." Don't just stop looking at the screen if that bothers you. You don't have to read the comments.
But I mean, like when it comes to Jacqueline Glenn, she invites it though. Like she even like TLDR explains, she positioned a spider mark on her leg so that it would look like a boob. You know, it would look like a nipple in the human breast. She does invites this sort of thing.
Yeah, but I don't know. With Jacqueline Glenn, she might just be in like she might believe none of what she's saying. She might just be entirely trying to get views. Like she shows sexy herself in sexy lingerie because she knows that'll get her views, and then she complains about people making sexual comments about her because when she's in sexy lingerie, because she knows that will get her views. You know, it's not about being consistent or actually having any kind of ideas that you want to present. It's just about trying to get the views.
Yeah, and it's like what really irritated me is like there were a bunch of anti-feminists who were shocked. They were shocked and surprised that Jacqueline Glenn went from bashing feminists and calling feminists stupid to making a bunch of feminist videos. But I'm thinking she always flip-flopped, you know? She always flip-flopped on many different things. How come you guys didn't notice it till now?
Yeah, I think it's just because all the atheist videos, like, there's a lot of reasons that the atheist videos aren't so popular anymore. One of them is because everyone's moved on to social justice warriors. One of them is because the atheist community kind of got split by the Atheism Plus thing. But one of the main things is just people got bored because there's only so many ways that you can tell someone that there's not really any good reason to believe in God that before everyone gets bored. So yeah, like I think that by the time Jacqueline Glenn was getting popular, it was just, you know, people were just watching and thumbs upping and just like watched a video and it's like, oh yeah, that sounds like the atheist rhetoric. Good, tick. And there wasn't. I don't think there was any real analysis of what she was saying at that point. The atheist community had gotten really stale. It was just 14-year-old edgelords from 4chan.
Yeah, I'm thinking that the anti-feminist community is just kind of going down the same road, you know, because
I hope so.
yeah, to me the anti-feminist community is going down the same road as the atheist community, where it seems like eventually people would get bored and have enough of it, you know, because it's kind of like I just see pretty much the exact same pattern, you know. It really just seems exactly the same, you know, like where people turn on The Amazing Atheist for entertainment. People would watch Sargon of Akkad, Vernaculus, and a bunch of other anti-feminist YouTubers for entertainment purposes, but it's kind of like they're not really, I don't think that there are that many people going out there to the governors, legislators, or whatever to try to get laws changed, because it's kind of like as popular as atheist videos was, no laws actually got changed. And with as popular as Sargon of Akkad is, no laws are being changed. In fact, the laws that are being changed are being done in the favor of social justice warriors, because with social justice warriors, it's kind of like what I told you, they are actually, you know, they're meeting up, they're doing marches, they are, you know, it's kind of like Black Lives Matter, you know, Black Lives Matter, the Sluts Walk, they are all getting together, they are marching, they want their voices to be heard, you know, that's what they're doing. and it's working. And even when Martin Luther King did the March of Selma, it was a great way to get a lot of attention. Even when Gandhi did his march thing, it was a great way to get a lot of attention. When people actually get out of their homes and meet up and show up in numbers to do marches to say this is important to us, that is when things on.
Well, I think that you're right, but I don't see. So there's a really good example of anti-feminists getting together and making a scene, and that's the Milo Yiannopoulos College tour. That's creating a lot of news. It's getting huge auditoriums full of anti-feminists together, and it's got these social justice warriors, the people who we're actually trying to be talking against, making complete fucking fools of themselves. I think the Milo Yiannopoulos College tour is a good example of a show of why anti-feminism is important. It's the equivalent of a march, I think.
Yeah, Milo, your novelist is amazing that way, and I hope I'm saying his name correctly. Milo
Yep,
Yiannopoulos. Yeah,
that's
I think
right.
it's amazing that way, and I like how when he keeps his cool on stage, like you can see people like yelling at him and screaming at him, and he actually seems to be enjoying himself. He seems to be like a masochist that way. Like people are insulting him, and he just has this big smile, and he's just enjoying himself the whole entire time.
Yeah. The I don't know. Do you think that the anti-feminist movement is doing anything in that case, or do you think that they're just failing?
I just like how, it's kind of like how Sargon said, how it's important to copy tactics that work. Even I read The Prince by Niccolo Machiavelli, and Niccolo Machiavelli says you got to copy what's actually is working. And when it comes to Gandhi, when it comes to Martin Luther King, when it comes to social justice warriors, when it comes to Black Lives Matter, even though they suck and the prior two were pretty awesome, what they have in common is that they got together, they banded together, and they did a march. They wanted everybody to know this is important to us. This is very, very important. We're going to group up. We want to group up. We want to talk to as many people as possible. We want to do a march with people. Like when social justice warriors and feminists were starting out, it was starting out on Tumblr, I think it was, because I kind of
Mm.
noticed it on Tumblr, where first there was a really popular post going on Tumblr. Who's ever been called fat by a guy? Who's ever been called ugly by a guy? Who's ever been called a slut by a guy? Who's ever been bullied by a guy? If any of these bad things happen to you, and if any of these came from men, join us in our slut walk. People, the whole world needs to know that this type of thing needs to stop. So come join us in a slut walk. We need to band together to say this isn't right. This is not cool. This needs to stop. And a bunch of people did join these sluts walks. And now look at how popular, the
Well, I don't know. I think that slut walks have made feminism less popular.
actually they've gotten laws passed. Like, how the law against men spreading, now that's illegal now.
Is it? I don't think it's illegal.
I'm just saying that they're just, it's now getting everywhere. It's
What
kind of like,
what laws has the slut walk changed?
I think that they successfully banned men spreading. I
I
think so.
don't think they banned manspreading, did they? That would be insane. Like sitting with your legs too far apart is now illegal. Is that the case in America?
I think so.
I don't think that that's the case.
I can
I
Google it later.
Yeah, you can, but I'm pretty sure they didn't make it illegal. I think that what happened was they did use taxpayer money to spend on these posters against man spreading, but I don't think that they made it illegal.
I would have to Google it later. I just, I think that's what happened, but I'm not entirely sure. I can't say I'm 100% sure.
I'm pretty confident that it
Um,
wasn't.
my bad. My bad, Dan. My mistake.
Yeah,
Anyway, I
that
mean,
would have been that would have been rather insane if they'd managed to ban sitting in a certain way.
well, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. Shoot me. you know.
Yeah, will do. No, but yeah, I think that the slut walks have made feminism. I can't talk. I think the slut walks have made feminism less popular, not more. They have. They don't look good. They make feminists look insane, and people don't want to be associated with them.
I don't know, like many people like Beyonce knows, and I mean, we saw John Oliver defense of Anita Sarkeesian.
Sure, sure. I'm not saying that they don't have a lot of support from people very
Influence,
high up in the media.
very
Yeah, that's true. But the average person doesn't identify as a feminist because you're talking about people in entertainment who, like, the spectacle is where they live their lives. They are used to all that attention, used to the craziness of entertainment, the entertainment world, and so the slut walk, they're not too put off by that. But the average person who just doesn't really want to draw too much attention to themselves, this associating themselves with the slut walk people is a little bit weird.
Yeah, I do think that's where Sargon does come in handy. But it's kind of like even with as popular as the Amazing Atheist was, the amounts of Christians hasn't changed all that much. It went from 78% of Americans being Christian to 70% of Americans being Christian. So it dropped down 8%.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, the thing about the atheist community and the anti-feminist community, which is, I think, ultimately the topic here, if it goes the same way, then the anti-feminist community will have won. If because the atheist community basically won. There are sure
On YouTube, but I don't think that.
No, in real life. So the average. I think something changed that a lot of people didn't really notice because it was sort of a gradual thing, but it's no longer a shocking thing to say you don't believe in God. Like, that was not too long ago. That was a much more shocking thing in some areas. Like, there are still areas where it is. There's still like some parts of, especially in America, where I've talked to people who say like they're afraid of coming out to their parents and all that kind of thing. But it's nowhere. The culture around it has changed. It's not a shocking thing to say you're an atheist. And in fact, there's a lot of circles, particularly in influential positions, with the exception, obviously, of president, but with influential positions in media, etc., where saying that you're particularly religious is seen as a bit weird. If you say you're a devout Christian, I don't think that's going to do you any favors in Hollywood.
Yeah, I'm just saying, what happened was it's kind of like the amounts of Christians in America is still about the same. It just dropped 8%, and there has been no laws changed in the favor of the atheist community, but they did get the 10 commandments taken down, but it still seems to be related to offense culture, which is I don't like something, so it must be removed. And there's also something I would like to share with all of you.
Okay.
You know how it was the Satanic Temple who worked really hard to get the Ten Commandments removed? Remember that? Or or they would get a Baphomets in there. They would get a
I didn't actually know too much about that, but yeah.
Okay, I am going to screen share this. Let me try to get screen share up. Can you see this?
Not yet. Oh yeah, there it is.
Yes.
Go for it.
It's talking about International Women's Day. It's talking about how feminism is important. Like many people do not understand how Satanism and feminism can be connected. Or Shaka to you, this may be partly because alternative religions have become so popular and mainstream that some people begin their paths unaware of the older literary sources and influences of these religions. In order to understand the connection between women, spelled with a Y, Satan, and feminism, yeah, so they're just justifying feminism, and they were the one who made the Baphomets in order to get the they were either going to get the Ten Commandments removed, or they're going to put a Baphomets up there.
Yeah. Well, I think that the Satanist community would be highly susceptible to feminists, the feminist creep that happened to a lot of communities. So I wouldn't be surprised if the Satanist community is just completely destroyed pretty soon, or and what's left of it is feminist.
Yeah, to me, that this is what I'm saying, that it's kind of like these atheist community was part of. It bothers me, so it needs to go away. Like the Ten Commandment statues bothers me when so it needs to go away. But in the end, I personally never really noticed them. I'm pretty sure we have them in the South, of all places, the religious South, but I never really noticed them because it wasn't noticeable, and I never really paid attention to it.
Yeah, I don't know. It's you know what I'm talking about, though, with the feminism taking over. Like it's going to successfully take over just about any community like this, because it's a community that's already dedicated to kind of just being contrarian. So feminism fits in perfectly well there.
Yeah. Should I move on to the bathroom issue?
Yeah, sure. Let's go.
Okay, we already talked about it, but this is so other people could know. Um, Some people. Let's see. I don't mind it. This is what I wrote to Danny on DM via Twitter, for those of you who don't know, because how would you? I don't mind if bathrooms are women, men, and unisex, or some unisex only bathrooms here and there, but I think men and women should stick to their own bathrooms. I acknowledge that the vast majority of men are good. I acknowledge that the vast majority of Muslims are good. When you look at the data and research, the overwhelming amounts of Muslims in the world are actually good. There are those that risk their lives to save Christians. There are those who not only report when Christians get attacked in Muslim-dominated countries. I've seen Muslims cry over the deaths of Christians, and refer to Christians in a positive light in Muslim-dominated communities. The problem is, one thing needs to go wrong in an integrated bathroom like this. 108 white people killed black people. 416 blacks killed white people. But the Michael Brown case and the Eric Garner case triggered Black Lives Matter. Like, that's how it came about. There were no Black Lives Matter until Eric Garner and Michael Brown. When some Canadian girl named Ashley killed herself by drinking bleach, anti anti-bullying laws got passed. When it comes to men, could use women's bathrooms whenever they want and vice versa. To me, it's just another case of the road to hell being paved with good intentions. I don't mind if people are genuinely transgender or to use women's bathroom, like Darren Meyer and Blair White, who look just like real women. I can't tell that they're trans. To me, the problem it's much more like little boys can be nasty, like rubbing shits all over the walls. And teenage boys can be very cruel, even unto girls. Like Ashley, who killed herself by drinking bleach. Hell, I've been terribly bullied by teenage boys back when I was a teenager. The bathroom was a great safe space of a sort. When I was bullied by guys, I could run into the ladies' bathroom and they can't follow me in there without getting in trouble since the guidance counselor's office was always the guidance counselor's office door. The door was always open and it was right across from the girls' bathroom. It was a great place to be, when being pursued. The reason why we don't get too much bullying in integrated classrooms is because teachers are in front of the classroom most of the time. People don't really want to be caught bullying in front of a teacher. Hell, I've actually been assaulted a few times, and I told the gym teacher and the guy got in trouble. Like the guy dug his fingers into my arm and he left bruises and I had to go to the nurse's office. I immediately told the gym teacher and he got suspended from school. Boys bully
Yeah.
girls. Teenage boys can be extremely cruel to girls. Men are just really nice, outside of high school. They're on their own. Many jobs would fire a man if he mistreats a woman. There's just so much social pressure to be nice to women outside of high school, which is why in an adult world, many women don't complain about grown men. It is mostly little girls and adolescent girls who complain. There is already a rift between the sexes. One more terrible thing that rocks this nation, and it may put us in a position which is really hard to recover from. We would just live in a society that's more anti-male. Men would be treated increasingly more like cattle. I'm about to sound MGTOW right now, but this is a somewhat dystopian reality. Women really are men's superiors. Men via biology hates it when their little girls get hurt, and women via biology care about protecting themselves and other women, especially themselves. I don't think this nation could handle another rift. Something shocking enough happens. Lord only knows how many decades, if centuries, it could be fixed. And that's what I said to Danny through Twitter.
Okay. And there's a couple of things. The vast majority of Muslims are good, which is one of the comparisons you made. Essentially trying to compare, Muslims to men. And I think that's unfair for a couple of reasons. One, the vast majority of Muslims, by Pew Research data, don't appear to be good. That's not a value judgment completely on my part. That's just the statistics show that most Muslims believe things that one could not really consider good. The death for apostasy is pretty common. Being gay should be illegal is exceedingly common. There's some things that they would support that one could not really consider good. So the idea that most Muslims are good is a little bit wonky. I'm not really sure about that.
Well, there are Christians who believe that being gay is wrong and
Well, yes, no, but we're just talking about most. if you look at the statistics, most Christians don't believe that being gay should be illegal. However, most Muslims do. So the idea that most Muslims are good, I'm not really sure about that, especially not when you compare it to just men in general, because, yeah, most men are good, and most women are. Also, the thing about boys can be cruel to girls, yes, and girls can be cruel to girls. In fact, just if I'm sorry that you had some really bad experiences with being bullied and that the perpetrators were boys, but overall, girls bullying girls is much, 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 much more common than boys bullying girls. Just on a statistical level.
You can't have a girls away from girls' bathroom, though. You can't have a girls only bathroom away from other girls. You know.
No, I'm not saying you can. I'm just saying that having a girls and boys only bathroom is not really going to stop. There are other solutions.
And unisex.
There are
guys and unisex.
Well, yeah, but if you just stopped worrying about which bathrooms people are going into, and you instead focus on trying to fix bullying in a much more effective way, especially considering the fact that separating them to girls and boys, it's possible that causes more bullying because the girls are sort of away in their own bathroom, and so what if the girls and the boys, sure. But what if the girls and the boys being in the same bathroom meant that their boys are more likely to protect the girls than to bully them? I mean, that's possible. Boys protect girls. Like, that's basically the most common thing. Males protecting females is basically the point of males, according to biology. Excuse me. So they have a strong biological drive.
By any guys during high school.
Well, I'm sorry that you had a really bad experience, but I mean, this is personal experience, and we have to go based on what is more common, based on statistics and biology.
Well, like I said, the reason why feminism got really popular is like through Tumblr, and how these Tumblrs started off like, has a guy ever called you fat? Has a guy ever called you ugly? Has a guy ever did this to you? Has a guy ever
I bet if you ask those questions, about girls, like they ask girls or guys, has a girl ever called you fat or ugly? Then they'd all say yes as well. Like it's not there's no gendering in this, and in fact, just statistically speaking, girls are much more likely to hurt other girls than guys are to hurt girls.
True, but I could handle myself with another girl, though.
Okay, no, that's fair, but
like
girls are much more likely to hurt each other if there's only girls around.
Huh?
I mean, girls are more likely to bully each other, I would have thought. This one isn't based on statistics. This is what I would have thought if there's only girls around. I mean,
well, girls mostly rely on verbal bullying. Girls are not like, physical bullying. Girls would just, say you're fat or you're ugly. Girls would not really lay a hand on you. Whereas when I was in
that doesn't seem to be the case statistically. Girls, teenage girls are one of the most violent groups, demographics in the world, in Western countries, from statistics I've seen. So that doesn't seem to be right.
The last time I was in a fight when a girl, it was back in the 5th grade, and it was in the gym, like it was publicly in the gym, a girl beat me up in the 5th grade, and it has since happened again. Whereas
but that's personal experience. I mean, that's just you can't have your personal experience and assume that it's indicative of the rest of society.
Yeah, that's true. But like I said, can you refute that Black Lives Matter came from Eric Garner and Michael Brown, even though Black people are more likely to attack white people than vice versa?
Well, they are more likely to attack, but I mean, those things were about cops, but even then, cops are more likely to shoot a white person than a black person in terms of...
Exactly, but Black Lives Matter still came from Eric Garner, Michael Brown, even though Black people hurts white people at a much higher rate than vice versa, and it still triggered Black Lives Matter. And there are people on Twitter who view Black Lives Matter in a very positive light, you know. And there are people in college campuses going, Black Lives Matter, you know.
Yeah, I know. I agree. I agree with that. You know, that's how the movement came about. And in the same way, this split bathrooms thing, like we should have, you know, we should keep the bathrooms just one for girls and one for boys. That's based on the same thing. It's based on a wonky idea. Like people say, oh, well, we should support Black Lives Matter because cops are shooting all these black people. And then you actually look at the statistics and it's like, well, not really. Like, yes, by percentage they are, but if you compare it again to...
But remember, through biology, people have a bigger issue with men hurting girls than when girls hurt other girls or when guys hurt other guys. If a guy would have hurt, say, girl in a girl's bedroom, people would get really angry and it would just cause a further rift in the sexes. This is what I mean by the road to hell being paved with good intentions. I know your intentions are good, but that's how the road to hell gets paved.
Yeah, I understand that, but the idea of the road to hell is paved with good intentions. There's a much faster road right next to it, which is paved with bad intentions. It's much more direct. Just because, yes, it's possible that by doing the right thing, there's going to be some negative consequences as well. However, then we should solve those consequences. It shouldn't be just like, well, let's just give up and not change anything in case there's also some bad consequences. We'd still need to make a positive change. And I think that the fact that we split up men's and women's bathrooms, we wouldn't do that. We used to split up in, well, we didn't, America did. America used to split up black people and white people into separate bathrooms. They stopped doing that because people sort of saw like black people as the victims and white people as the oppressors. And so let me think. Let me finish my thought. Let me finish. So the black people and white people were split up into separate bathrooms, and they got rid of that because that was seen as the reason that we're separating them is because the black people are dirty and we don't want them to use our bathrooms. They're like second-class citizens. And since the society at the time was trying to defend black people, you know, as a civil rights movement, then that was a reasonable thing to take because it's defending black people. Now, you know, the reason we split up men's and women's bathrooms, why haven't the feminists argued against that? They're against gender inequality. And the reason is because it's not set up that way to protect men. It's set up that way because we think of men as dirty or even violent. So our society is not reacting to it because the only insult that it makes is who gives a fuck.
There's a problem with your analogy. There's two problems with it. One problem is that when it comes to segregated bedrooms, they make the black people really did get the worst bedrooms. Like if I were to
wait, stop. Are you saying that it would be okay if they had the same quality bathroom? That you would be okay with segregated bathrooms then?
Well, if black people got the exact same quality, then I don't think that there would be much of an issue.
I think there still would be. I think people would still be pissed off because that's still divisive, and it also implies that there's something dirty and wrong with black people because, you know, the white people don't want to use the same bathroom as them. You know, that's still indicative of some societal problem where black people are viewed negatively. And in the same way, the fact that we have these male bathrooms is indicative of a societal problem where men are viewed negatively.
To me, the real problem with the segregation of black and whites is that black people had really, it's like they didn't have the exact same quality as white people because, as you know, there are people like right now who
I don't think that's the case. I just don't think you're right. I think that people would still be pissed off with
Okay,
segregated bathrooms, even if they had the exact same quality.
can you see the picture I have up on a screen share?
Yeah, I'm not denying that the black people's ones were worse. I'm just saying that it wouldn't have mattered. It would have still been a bad, like they would have still considered the even if those were two identical drinking fountains right there, even if they were exactly the same, I don't think that would have changed anything. I think people would still be pissed off that they're making black people use a separate one.
I don't think so.
You think that if that in that case, if you think that's the case, why didn't they just make the black people's one nicer?
Because they viewed black people as second-class citizens. They were clearly.
No, you missed my point. So when they changed it so that there's only one drinking fountain, and everyone uses the same one, why didn't they just change it so that the black people's ones were as nice as the white people's ones?
Because when they did segregation, they just gave the black people the worst of every.
No, I'm saying the people who were against segregation. When they got it changed, why didn't, instead of changing it so that everyone uses the same one, why didn't they change it so that everyone uses the same quality one, but they're still segregated? Do you think that the people who were against segregation would have been okay with that?
If black people and white people had the exact same quality, then I don't think that there would be a complaint.
I think that there would be, because, well, I mean, that's just a disagreement then. I think that you're definitely wrong, that people would have still lost their shit about it, and rightly so, because you'd have to think, well, why, if they've got the same quality, black people, white people, why are they splitting them up? Why not just all use the same fountain? It's, why split it up by race? And the answer that would have come from the old racists would be because, oh, black people are dirty, we don't want to get any diseases that they might have, or if it's bathrooms, then black people are dangerous. We don't want to go into a bathroom with black people, they're dangerous.
Well, I mean, think of it this way: there are not black people asking for segregation. There is God say close.
Yeah, but they're racists. They're racists. Like that's the point.
If black people and white people had the exact same quality, but there was still segregation, I don't think that there would be that much of an issue.
I think there'll be a massive issue. I would certainly have a massive issue with that, because why would you want to split it up? That's the real question. Like, why not split it up by hair color? Why not split it up by eye color? Why not split it up by height? Why not split it up by whether you're right-handed or left-handed? There's all of these. This is arbitrary bullshit. There's no reason to split it up unless you have some fundamental belief that there's something wrong with black people, or in the modern case, that there's something wrong with men, so that you don't want to use the same facilities as them.
Again, and here's another thing. Another different problem with your analogy is that there is no such thing as a white brain or a black brain. There is a attestable biological difference between men and women. And not like
that's not true. That's not true. There is a biological difference between black people and white people. You can tell the difference just based on brains.
The biological Oh, you're talking about brains?
Yeah, you said there's no such thing as a black brain and a white brain, and I don't think that that's the case. I think that if you were a forensic neurologist, or whatever the person who chops up brains is called, yeah, I'm agreeing there is a difference between male and female brains. I know that's the case. You don't need to prove that. I'm saying that there's also a difference between black brains and white brains.
Can you prove it?
Yeah, okay. Well, do you think that there's no way that someone could tell what race someone is just by their brain?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I think that's when it comes to men and women, the difference is in their brains. Like there are many psychological differences between a man's brain and women's brain. Not only that, but men also have more testosterone than women. Women have more estrogen than men. Men and women are very much different when it comes to biology.
Well, okay. I can find some information on that for you later. But yes, you can. There is a bigger difference between men and women than between black people and white people. That is true. However, there is not no difference, and then you're really just splitting hairs there. Exactly how much difference do you need to have between groups of people before you're willing to segregate them into two different sects of society? To me, I think we should treat people as individuals. Okay, there's one of my favorite quotes is from Shoe on Head on Twitter, and she said something along. I wish I could remember it exactly. It's one of my favorite quotes, but it was basically, we're probably not all equal, but we should still treat each other equally because we're all just meat robots running around on a floating rock, and that's true. That you can tell differences between black people and white people, between males and females. There are differences. That's of course there are. We're not all the same. However, any individual, that's the fundamental difference. Any individual can still, you don't know what that individual's like just because one trait of his, like being black or being female or whatever, is correlated with some other traits, doesn't mean that they will necessarily show those correlations, show those connections between those traits.
There are stronger differences between men and women than women and men. No, but I'll say this. Back in, I think it's in China or Japan, I think that there are some men-only places where you are forbidden to go unless you're a man, and I'm totally cool with that.
I think that's dumb. I think that if it's a private business or it's a private property, and they want to say, well, we are only letting men on, then that's fine. That's their business. I think they're being a bit dumb, but whatever. None of my business. But if they are, if it's like a government-supported thing, and or it's if it's government supported or it's legally supported or there's something like that, and it's segregated by sex, I think that's dumb. There's no reason for the government to get involved in splitting people up into genders, races, anything.
And we used to do that in America too. I think it's called SAG. I'm not sure, but there also used to be things where we had men only things in America where it's like men only, and I'm cool with that. If there wants to be a place exclusively for men and there's like no women allowed, I am totally cool with that. That doesn't
bother me. So am I, but are you okay with your tax dollars going towards that?
No taxpayers' dollars, so I don't want to pay for it. Yeah. If they pay for themselves,
exactly.
If it's like a private business, then it should
exactly. Like that's exactly my point. And or you wouldn't want the law to come in and say like this area is only males. It's just if someone's private property they decide to do that, right? If the law comes in and says only women can enter this area, or only men can enter this area.
I'm talking about a whole entire building, like a restaurant where it's like a whole entire place where I am not, excluded from 100%. Now, if they say everybody's welcomed, but women could only use the top floor and men must use the bottom floor, I would have no problem if taxpayers don't commit to it.
Really? Why?
Because again, it's like if there's a men's only place, I would have no problem with it. There are plenty of men's only places in China. Now, there's men only places in Japan, and if there's men's only places, why should we have a problem with that?
Because it's nothing to do with the government. The government should treat every citizen as an individual, and I don't think that there's ever a justification for a law to treat someone differently based on their gender, based on their race, or anything like that.
So it's kind of like if Sandman or Angry Midtown wants to create a restaurant and go like, only men are allowed and
Yeah,
women.
no, I'm okay with that. Like I said, I'm okay with that. I've already said that I'm okay with that because that's their own private property. But if the government wants to do it, then I have a problem because that's my taxpayer money going to a gender segregated building. I don't like that. I don't want my tax money to go to that. It's if it's or if the laws, like it's laws, you don't get to opt in and out of laws. And if you can't opt in and out, then you can't have those arbitrary distinctions.
That's kind of like, I mean, maybe men should have their own men's only places because
Why?
for comfort, like there are many guys in the MGTOW, and all the guys in the MGTOW seem like
So
they
I'm
seem
not. I hang out with girls more than I hang out with guys. So do I just have to go hang out with the guys anyway?
well, it's kind of like if Santa Man wants his own men's only building, why should
Yeah, and he should pay for it, and he should buy it and pay for it and do it himself. That's his thing. But I don't want my tax money to go into it.
you do not have to go there. You can go to
No, but I do have to pay for it if it's taxpayer.
you can go to any place that allows both men and women to be
Yes,
together.
but I do have to pay for it.
You shouldn't have to pay for it with your taxpayers' money if
Okay,
if
shouldn't have
you
to pay for
want
it.
to go
The
to a
tax-
place where only men are allowed.
You shouldn't have to pay for that. I shouldn't have to pay so that someone can have a girls' club or a boys' club.
I'm just saying I am totally cool with places being men's only because men don't want to deal with women. No, if men want their own place away from women, I would not take it personally. I would not be.
No, neither. Look, I wouldn't. Again, you're missing the thing. Like, I have no problem with men and women having their own spaces if they pay for it and if it has nothing to do with the laws. Like, they can do their thing themselves. I think it's kind of silly for them to do that, but it's none of my business. Like, yes, they can have their own spaces if they want. Anyone, right-handed people, if they want to, like, or left-handed people or whatever. Left-handed people can all have their own building that only left-handed people are allowed to go into, but they have to pay for it. My tax money isn't going to go to it. I'm not going to support any law that's going to say only left-handed people can go into this building because I think that that's frankly stupid. But if they want to do it with their own private property, with their own private money, then that's fine.
Yeah, but it's kind of like at the exact same time, I've noticed that the more integrated we've become, the more the happiness in America has died down. Like, people were more happier in the 1970s than they are right now.
Well, yeah, but I mean, that's a correlation though. Like,
Wait, stop.
no, you said a thing. You said a thing. I want to respond to it.
Wait.
You said something. Come on, let me respond to this before you move on.
Don't you find it odd that people were more happier in the 1970s than they are now? Don't you find that odd?
Did you know that there were no nuclear weapons before women's suffrage? If women hadn't gotten the vote, we wouldn't have nuclear weapons. Before women got the vote, there were no nuclear weapons. After women got the vote, there's tons of nuclear weapons. Clearly, women's getting the vote is responsible for nuclear weapons. Does that argument make sense? Does that make sense? Do you now think that women getting the vote is responsible for nuclear weapons?
Did women vote for nuclear weapons?
No, they didn't.
Well, if women didn't vote for nuclear weapons, then I don't see the problem.
Exactly. Like, there's no reason, just because before something happened, things were one way, and after something happened, things were another way, doesn't mean that the thing that you're referring to, doesn't mean the thing you're referring to is responsible. Yes, it's true that there used to be segregation and people were happier before, and now there's less segregation, we're more integrated, and people are less happy. However, that's not the only thing that changed in those times. That whether people getting happier then may have been less happy, may have been due to economic changes. It may have been due to changes in politics. It may have been due to. It may actually just have been because we've got more stuff now. Like we've got more luxury items, and actually it turns out that if you have too much luxury, then you fall into a bit of a depression because all your needs are sated too often. It may be that struggle, a little bit of struggle in our lives, makes us happier. So because people are struggling less, like that's, I'm not saying that any of those are the case. I'm just saying that just because you can see that people used to be segregated and now they're not, and they used to be happy and now they're not, doesn't mean those two things are in any way related.
Yeah, but the problem with women voting is that it's kind of like women did not vote for nuclear weapons. Now, if you said
yes, I agree. Sorry, you entirely missed my point. I was not saying that. In fact, I was saying that women voting had nothing to do with nuclear weapons. That's the point.
But that could be tested and proven and looked at.
Okay, I don't care. That's not what I'm getting at. I'm just saying that.
Then why did you pick something that could be testable and provable and researched?
That's not what I'm getting at, though. The point is that just because you can see that something changed and that there was things one way before that change and another way after, doesn't mean the thing that you're looking at is what caused that change. Just because people were happy before and not happy now, and just because we used to have less integration and now we have more integration, doesn't mean that integration has anything to do at all with the change in happiness.
There's only one way to test it out, and the way I feel it to test it out is if, we measure the happiness of people who are segregated and measure the happiness of people who are integrated.
That doesn't measure it out either. That doesn't test it out either, because you can't tell that the people who are in segregated countries, I think you'll find that people are much less happy at the moment. But the reason that will be the case is because the segregated countries are shit at the moment. Like, all of the best countries have gone against segregation for the most part, with the exception of the bathroom thing that we're debating. But that doesn't mean that segregation makes people happy or unhappy. Like, I'm sure you've heard the phrase correlation doesn't equal causation, right?
Right.
Yeah, so that's what's going on here.
But are you denying that there is a growing rift between the genders? That the gender seems to be more and more antagonistic towards each other now?
Yeah, I would say so.
Okay,
I'd agree with that.
People were happier in the 1970s, where things are more segregated between men and women.
Yeah, but no. There you've just made your problem. There you just made a mistake.
And not only that, but there's a growing rift between the genders. There's a growing rift. There's,
But why do you think that has anything to do with segregation or integration?
Well, I mean, like, look at it as a whole. People were happier in the 1970s, where the genders were more segregated. Now, not only are people more upset, but there is a growing rift between the genders. Women are now more and more anti-male.
Ren.
What?
Correlation does not equal causation. Just because you find that people were happy back then and it was segregated, and people are less happy now and it is integrated, does not mean, it is not evidence that segregation was anything to do with happiness or anything to do with the rift between the genders.
Okay, then how come women appreciated men a lot more back in the olden days, but how come now?
I don't know.
But don't you think it's all odd when you put it all together that back in those days, women appreciated men more, men were showed a lot more gratitude, but nowadays men and women have a rift. We see MGTOW showing up, more and more men are becoming MGTOW. Don't you think it's odd?
I do think it's odd, but I don't think it has anything to do with integration.
But when you put it all together, it just seems... No.
When you put it all together, then what? You put integration together with happiness or the rift between the genders? Because I don't think that you can make that conclusion. I don't see how you get from that correlation to that causation.
Well, we see the rise of MGTOW now. We see
Yes, I agree. You're there. You say we see the rise of MGTOW. That is evidence that there is a rift between the genders. How do you show that that has anything to do with integration?
because people were happier in the 1970s, and
That shows a correlation. That does not show that there's any causal link. How do you show that causal link?
look at all the people who are angry at the opposite sex now.
That shows a correlation. How do you show the causal link?
Are you literally ignoring this? Like,
no, that is not how it works. Look, okay, I can show you.
I've seen so many cinnamon videos. I've seen angry MGTOW videos.
Oh my God! I'll try to explain this one more time. I can show you a chart that shows that people drowning in pools is heavily correlated with how many Nicolas Cage movies were released that year. When there's more Nicolas Cage movies released, more people drown in pools. Did you know that?
I don't care about that.
Well, yeah, but think about it for a second. That is two things. Like, we can say, well, look, back when there were no Nicolas Cage movies, when there were less Nicolas Cage movies released, back then, very few people drowned in pools. And now lots of people are drowning in pools, and we've got more Nicolas Cage movies. Clearly, Nicolas Cage is...
Are you going to ignore what comes out of people's mouths? Are you going to ignore everything?
Oh my God.
Are you going to ignore everything that comes out of Cinnamon's mouth?
No, I'm not. I'm not ignoring a single thing. I am totally accepting that there's more of a rift between the genders.
All the guys in MGTOW that wants nothing to do with women, and all the women who are now increasingly wants nothing to do with men. When men used to be more appreciated back in
Yes, I agree with that. I agree with that, but that doesn't show that it has anything to do with segregation or integration.
Then why don't we test it out? Why don't we have some men-only places and see if men are happier at men-only places? You know, we could have all the guys together and see if they're happier.
Okay, but don't do it with my taxpayer money. Like, I don't think that that's a very good guess as to why there's a rift between the genders.
To be measured in scientific.
No. Go for it. Measure it without my taxpayer money, because I don't think that that is a very good guess as to what caused the rift between the genders. I think what caused the rift between the genders was something to do with feminism, but I don't think it was the integration. I think the integration is fine. I think that the thing that caused the rift between the genders is the constant propaganda about how terrible and scary men are. You know, when one group is constantly portrayed as evil and the enemy, and the other group is constantly portrayed as helpless and victims, yes, there's going to be a rift between them. And in fact, the gendered bathrooms, if you got rid of those, that would be a sign that you don't think of men as these evil, dirty creatures who are going to hurt everyone. And that's, I think that the gendered bathrooms, if you got rid of those, that would actually reduce the rift between the genders.
Well, I grew up with gendered bathrooms, and I don't hate men. My mother grew up with gendered bathrooms, and she doesn't hate men.
Are you denying that there's a rift between the genders?
Being gendered bathrooms with hatred towards men.
No, I'm not. No, you're missing the point. So, I thought that you agreed that there's a rift between the genders now.
Yeah, and I don't think gender, because again, guys, when you get like little boys are more violent when they're little. Do you know how many times I've been...
Girls are violent too. Like, I understand that your experience has been different, but that's...
Okay, girls also have better hygiene than little boys. Like, there was this time when I was in the 3rd grade or the 4th grade, and all the lights went out. And, and the girls' bathroom was no longer available to use. So we all had to use the boys' bathroom, of course, at different time periods. When all the girls got a chance to use the boys' bathroom, there was shit all over the bathroom walls.
Yeah, okay. That is not typical for a start. And second, I went into the girls' bathroom and there were tampons on the floor.
Huh?
In high school, I went into the girls' bathroom accidentally one time. I walked out and there were tampons on the floor. Like, just, it is, you might be able to show that men have slightly less hygiene than women. Okay. It also partially is the case, often, that I would imagine that the girls' bathroom would be cleaned more. But that's because the boys don't mind, they're just dirty boys, is the justification.
Yeah,
And
like girls,
don't you think that if the girls had to share those bathrooms, don't you think the boys would keep them a little bit cleaner?
Like hell. Of course I don't.
Okay, I think that would be the case, because I think that in general, boys are really shit to each other and they don't care about making their own place awful, but they tend to be a little bit more worried about girls.
No. I think part of it is society training guys to, be, more kind towards women, because little boys are.
It's partially training.
Little boys can be very mean to little girls. Think about how many little girls.
Little girls can be really mean to little boys.
Think about all the little girls who cry about some little boy out there somewhere.
All the girls can be really mean to little boys. I don't see what your point is. Girls can be mean to girls. Boys can be mean to boys. Girls can be
supervision, though. There's adult supervision for that. Our adults.
No. Girls and boys are both mean to each other and mean within their groups. Why are you just bringing up boys being mean to girls?
To be adult supervision in the bedroom constantly. So
no, there's not. No, what? No. When did I imply that? What did I say to imply that there should be adult supervision in bathrooms?
Well, the thing is, when people are getting along in integrated classrooms, because a teacher is in front of the classroom the whole entire time, and
I never mentioned integrated classrooms.
Huh?
I never said anything about integrated classrooms. What are you talking about?
I am just saying that I just think that what you are feeling is just the road to hell paved with good intentions. I think your good intentions is just going to make the chapter rep even worse.
Yeah, I know you've said that, but I haven't heard a single reason why you think that's the case, other than a correlation, which is, as we've pointed out before, not evidence of causation.
Oh, and the thing that comes out of people's mouths, like what MGTOW says,
Yeah, no, I think that's all true, what MGTOW says, but look, Rin, for God's sake, we're talking about...
What about what?
Yes, I agree. Holy shit. Yes, MGTOWs say a lot of crazy shit about women, and feminists say a lot of crazy shit about men, because there is a rift between the genders, and you're right about that. I have no disagreement about that. Please stop implying that I disagree with that. I do not. I just disagree with you about what the cause is.
Then what do you think is the cause?
Well, first of all, I don't think that I really need to have an idea of what the cause is to say that I don't think your one's right. You can. It's similar to like a Christian saying, "Well, how do you think the universe got here if not from God?" You can say, "Well, I don't fucking know, but I don't need to know just to be able to say that your guess is probably not right." So I don't necessarily need to know. I would have a guess that it's because of the demonization of men progressively in modern media. I would say that is where the rift comes from. If I think it stands to reason, if one group is constantly being demonized in the media and the other group is constantly being portrayed as victims, then it's going to create a rift. But
that's recent.
But that may be that, even if that's not true, even if I'm wrong about what the cause is, that doesn't mean that the cause is integration.
I just think that if there's going to be men's only places, I have no problem with it.
Okay.
But it will probably heal the rift between men and women. It'll
All
probably
right.
heal the rift, if anything.
Yeah, if they have men in only places and women only places, it'll fuel the rift.
Yeah, exactly. It's like if people
Well, I
could,
agree.
yeah.
If we have men only places and women only places, that fuels the rift. So let's get rid of the men only places and women only places we currently have.
I said it might heal the rift. Heal.
Oh, I thought you said fuel. No, I think it'll fuel the rift.
Because
I think it'll make it worse.
people got along better back in the olden days. Women appreciated men more. Women liked.
Yes, because there was no demonization of men on the scale that we have today.
But the demonization of men is only recent. It's very.
No, it's not. It's happened more and more progressively. I mean, and the portrayal of women as perpetual victims, etc. It's very ancient for a start. It's been happening since the dawn of humanity. But that's a story for another time. But the demonization of men has been blown up to ridiculous proportions in the time.
Women couldn't own any property, where it was only men that could own property.
Well, that's actually not quite true. Like feminists say that, but that's not really the case. But anyway.
Could you measure how many women owned property back in the olden days? Like,
very few. Very few, but it wasn't none.
How many women owned property back in the 17? How many women owned their own property back in the 1700s? I would like you to show me the data for that.
Not many.
See, men own the property. Men own the property.
No. For the most part, men owned the property. Yes. For the most part, men still technically own the property.
Yeah. So it's kind of like you're saying that men are always demonized. That's not true, because there was a time when men got their own property, where men got to, work.
Yeah. But men were still demonized then. So when you want to demonize someone, a good strategy is not to make them appear weak. If you make them appear weak, then you're going to make people feel sorry for them. So I don't see how just because men had, in fact, the fact that men had power in that sense actually is perfectly conducive to the idea that they were demonized.
But didn't men also have like SAG, which is like some men's social club, men only social club or whatever? There was just some men only social clubs where men could go and have a very good time. That doesn't seem like a society that's demonizing men, Like, oh yeah, we're gonna give you this men only place where you can have a really good time, It's really weird.
No, I'm not saying that that was all the society was doing all the time. That's just because I think that the societies have always generally thought of men as the scary ones and women as the victims. In general, that's been the case. Doesn't mean that all societies always hated men. That's a gross exaggeration of what I'm saying.
It sounds like what you're saying, because
I think that you're just taking it too far. Then I'm just saying that men have tended to be portrayed as the perpetrators and women as the victims throughout history, just in general.
I don't really see that. I mean, I really don't.
You don't see like, okay.
Wait a minute.
Show me the story from history that is all about the woman saving the man from the other evil woman. So the woman being a hero and saving the victim.
Women have the physical strength of a man.
No, but I mean, there's been stories about not so physically strong men being the hero before, just in ways that weren't so obvious. Like it'll be a story about a man protecting a woman. I can't think of one off the top of my head, but the point is, it's not always going to be about physical strength. But you won't find the story of the woman throughout in history, or at least you won't find a common one of the woman being a hero and saving the man who's a victim from the other woman who is a perpetrator. Because societies have always thought of men as the heroes to save people from. So heroes to do the saving, the perpetrator to do the evil act, and as the victim to is always and the victim is always the woman. So it's sort of the roles that they've has been expected, and there's a lot of biological basis for it. I'm not denying that, but it's not just biological.
Yeah, men are stronger than women. I cannot physically save you if I wanted to, because I probably.
What are you talking about? Like I said, it's not always physical strength that's important. It might be cleverness that's required to save someone. You know, not every story is about literally physically fighting the demons. You know, sometimes it's about overcoming something through strength of character, or overcoming something.
But even not only that, but even Till Deer show that most violent crime is created by men, not some. This is from TLDR, and he says that he admits how to a certain extent, but when you look at the data, most violent crime comes from men.
Yeah.
So that again, this is biology.
I don't see what's
saying biology is sexist. I mean, biology.
No, I'm not
sexist. I'm getting from you that biology is sexist.
Well, okay, then let me re-explain. So my point is not that biology is bad in any way. I have no problem with there being differences between men and women. In fact, I'm arguing that is in fact the case, that there are. However, just because it is true that men are more likely to commit violent crimes, a lot of that is because men are more likely to be prosecuted for their violent crimes. When a woman commits a violent crime, they don't really see it as violence. I mean, if a man smacks a woman, that's considered a crime. If a woman smacks a man, that's not. If you take into account every time a woman smacks a man as a violent crime, are you sure that women wouldn't be more responsible for violent crime? But nonetheless, even if that's the case, fine, there's a difference between men and women. That doesn't mean that it's totally reasonable to have nothing but ads about how dangerous and scary men are, because for the most part, men are not dangerous and scary. Like, the people who commit violent crimes are a tiny minority of both men and women.
Okay, I found what I was looking for. You're saying that throughout societies and cultures, women are viewed as good and amazing. And
no, I didn't say that. No, I did not say that. I definitely did not say anything like that. I said women are viewed as victims.
Well, it sounded like you were saying earlier that men are constantly humanized.
I did say that. Men are portrayed as either hero. Men have always been portrayed as either hero or perpetrator, never as victim. Women are always portrayed as victim. I didn't say that men are always thought of. Men have been always thought of as bad. They've always been thought of as heroes as well. That's becoming less the case. They're thought of more commonly as demons.
Okay, and that's because the problem with having a male bad guy and a male hero, it kind of neutralizes it. It makes everything.
No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. Because if the man is the hero, why do you think that people don't really care too much if a dude gets if a dude gets punched in the face, the response is harden up. If a woman gets punched in the face, it's put that person who punched her in jail. Do you not think that the constant portrayal of women as victims and never men as victims, men are always the evildoer or they're the hero, don't you think that hides any vulnerability that men might have?
There are men who get rescued by other men. You ignore it when men get rescued by other men.
No, I don't.
You know it did, but there are some. I've seen anime where women are the evil bad guys. Kind of like there's an anime called Soul Eater. The bad guy was Medusa, a woman. There you go. There are, evil women who are bad guys.
I think that... Yeah, there have been in some societies, Medusas from ancient Greece, which was actually a patriarchy, like in the sense that feminists pretend modern society is. And the way you knew that was look at their art. Their art was all about the male form, and they were exalting men, thinking of men as these great beings created in the image of God. Like look, all of those the ancient Greek sculptures are all of men, because the male form is the one of beauty, and females are sort of not really thought of as people to the same extent. So ancient Greece could be considered a patriarchy.
Yeah, we're the
And
society always come
so
up with
ancient Greece will not have this
really
same.
demonized, and men are the perpetrators, and men are bad. Societies have
Well,
up with men, yet worship their images as gods in Greek mythology.
yeah, in Greek mythology, yeah, that's right. And I'm not saying, and I think that Greece isn't part of this series. Like, there are societies that obviously different societies view things different ways, but our society, as it grew, right back to like, our society is basically based on British culture, which is going back to some French and German influence. But the point is, going back, if you trace the lineage of our civilization a long way back, then we are going to eventually get back to, it's going to go back through history with a whole lot of women being portrayed as victims and a whole lot of men being portrayed as perpetrators and heroes. And in recent times, you will see less often the man portrayed as a hero.
Yes,
But you won't see the man portrayed as a perpetrator being reduced at all.
if you see men being portrayed as heroes and a man being portrayed as a villain, I think we cancel each other out, because
no, they don't. Are either of those things vulnerable? Heroes or perpetrators, are either of them vulnerable? Do either of them need protecting?
Men, there are biological factors. Men,
but don't you think we should protect men anyway? Like, sure, men are slightly stronger than women, but they're still weak. Like, they can still. A small child with a sharp object, I think a YouTuber once said, can kill a man quite easily. You know, it's men are not these invulnerable creatures that don't need protection. Yes, they're slightly stronger than women, but that doesn't mean that men don't need protection. And don't you think it's a little bit weird that our media perpetually portrays men as not needing any protection?
What about men who rescue other men in TV shows and movies? And once upon a time, I've seen.
That's pretty rare.
Okay, watch Once Upon a Time, then. You can see Prince Charming.
Holy shit. Do you not?
You can see, like, Robin Hood rescuing his merry men. You can see Prince Charming rescuing Captain Hook, and vice versa. You can see men rescuing other men in TV. You can see men.
Yeah, but how do you... Look, okay, I'm not saying it's never happened. I'm talking in generalities. Obviously, you can point out exceptions, but you can point out exceptions to any rule like this. This is, on a societal basis, there's always exceptions. However, in general, I think you'd agree, men have been portrayed as the ones who commit the evil act and the ones who do the saving, and have rarely been portrayed as the ones who need to be protected. Showing a man as needing protection is not very common, is it?
I've seen TV shows, different TV shows, where men get protected by other men, like Merlin. I have seen them.
So are you saying that it's not more common?
Author on a very regular basis. I've seen Prince Charming rescuing other men. I have seen Robin Hood rescuing his merry men in the TV series Once Upon a Time. You say that?
Okay, so you're saying
it's kind of like. You're saying that men do not get portrayed as being...
No, again, do you want to listen to what I'm actually saying? Maybe that might help. So I said that in general. Do you think that it's more common to portray a man as the victim or a woman as the victim?
Well, I see women get portrayed as the victim more.
Okay, do you think that gap is particularly large, or do you think it's a very small gap?
It does seem to be a large gap.
Okay, it does seem to be a large gap. So in general, women are portrayed as victims, and in general, men are portrayed as perpetrators or hero. So what I said was exactly true then.
Yeah, but I'm talking about when I was growing up, I mostly seen Disney movies when I'm growing up. And in Disney movies, girls are always needing rescuing from men. Not like that, but
and Disney's the most popular kids network, so what does that tell you?
Well, it's kind of like But okay, Walt Disney is a man who made it. It's not like a woman who made it. It was Walt Disney, a man who made those movies. So
Okay. Anyway,
it's not like it's a woman creating a woman.
I don't think it is.
Correct.
You're confusing me with someone who thinks that women are conspiring or anyone's conspiring. I don't. I just think that in general, because of biological reasons, men are geared to protect women. And so if you want to make something popular in the media, you make it so that it's got a helpless woman being protected from an evil man by, and the hero who you're pretending to be when you watch the movie, if you're a guy, you watch the movie and you're like, oh, I'm the hero. I'm protecting the woman from the evil man.
I
Um,
think. I think
and that is a dynamic that fits very well in our psyche because
So what you did that it could be biologically consistent
I
because
said it was biologically. I specifically just said it was biological.
yeah, that's but biologically consistent. Like for example,
Yes.
when it comes to a woman, I could handle myself with another woman. You know, like I would not need protection and help from another woman. I am fine on my own. I don't need any help dealing with another woman. No guy would need to rescue me. I now when it comes to me fighting a man, I am more likely to lose because a man, I I only have like
I don't see what your point is. Yes, women tend to be less strong than men and so are more likely to be needed to be rescued from a man than a woman if it's a physical altercation.
that's so men are not being deliberately demonized.
I didn't say that. I'm not trying to say that they're being deliberately demonized. I'm just trying to show that that kind of media sticks in our minds a lot better because it fits in with our preconceived notions and the actual bio.
Don't you think that the results would be the same without the media? Don't you think that people
No.
can figure out women are? So you think that if there was no media, people would think that women are equally as strong as men or stronger than?
No, I don't. And I don't think that at all. I think that they would still think that men are stronger than women. I'm not saying that the media is the reason that we think that men are stronger than women. I've never said that.
You think that women are always needed to be rescued by men from men, but don't it's
Yeah.
kind of but it's kind of like if it's a woman versus another woman, like if you see two women fighting, they're neither of them are going to go to jail, or both of them are going to go to jail. If you see two men fighting, either neither will go to jail or both will go to jail. That's because people are not afraid of two people of the exact same gender fighting each other because they are viewed to be equally as strong as the other. You know, but it's kind of a lot like if a woman and a man gets in a fight, men are clearly stronger than women.
Yeah, if you're talking about these generalities. But nonetheless, okay, I'm not denying that men on average are stronger than women. I don't see what that accomplishes.
Why are you talking about the media just trying to demonize men and women
Because
are
media
always to be
does.
by women? Men
I'm not
always
saying it's conspiring. Look, you're missing this. I'm not trying to say that there's an intentional conspiracy. I'm just saying that, like for reasons that you're pointing out perfectly well there, it makes more sense to people to have a male perpetrator than a female perpetrator, and a female victim than a male victim. Now, if you live in a culture where you've got like in a society where just the most popular shit is going to, I mean, the most easily the stuff that latches onto your psyche like that is going to be crazy popular. Then you're going to have shitloads of stuff showing women as victims and men as perpetrators, and that's actually fine to some extent. Like, there's nothing wrong with having that difference there. There's nothing wrong with reflecting biology in your media. However, what I have noticed happening is also that because we see the general case, and I'm not saying the solution is to change the media, because I don't think that we necessarily need to. I'm just saying that because of the constant reinforcement and because of the biological side of it, it is very difficult for us to see men as victims, and that is a problem.
When it comes to men being victims, they can't be a victim of their society.
Why not?
I said they can be a victim of their society.
Well, I think that they can, but most people don't think that. Most people think that men cannot be victims, really. Like there are, I mean, they think that they can be victims, but it is much more difficult to portray a man as a victim without it seeming like and it's very easy to show a woman as a victim.
Let me see
people are far more interested in protecting women than they are in protecting men. Would you disagree?
Okay, let me put it as video games. What are the demographics? Who plays video games more, men or women? Who plays video games more, men or women? Honest answer.
Men.
Who reads comic books more, men or women? Who's more likely to buy the latest superhero, Batman? Who, men or women?
Men. I don't see where you're going with this.
Aren't men always the strong ones, even though the demographic is other men? Aren't Batman strong, Superman strong? Aren't all these?
What's your point? Yes, what's your point?
You're saying that like we live in a society that's that's always puts women as the victims and men as the heroes, and this is toxic or whatever. And
no, I'm not saying that's toxic. I'm just saying that it's indicative of the way I'm not saying that it's. I do think that there is some reinforcement of it. I wouldn't want to try and change it because I don't think changing. I think that would be treating a symptom, but I think that we do live in a society that tends to not really give a shit what happens to men compared to what happens to women. And that maybe
it's kind of like men love video games. Men love being the strong ones. Men love being the strong ones in video games. Okay. If men were weak and constantly need rescuing in video games, I don't think men would play video games.
I'm not saying we need to change the video games. Like, I don't know where you're getting this. You're confusing me with Anita Sarkeesian.
You're saying that women are always viewed as victims and men are always viewed as the perpetrators. And society has a problem with men throughout centuries, and men are not viewed as victims. And there's a gap between how women are viewed as victims, and women are viewed as victims far more often than men are viewed.
Don't you think? Stop right there. Pause right there, please.
Okay.
Was anything you just said wrong?
But who plays video games?
Was anything you just said wrong? Please answer the question. Please answer the question. You listed a whole lot of things. Were any of them wrong?
No, however, men play video games. Video games has a strong man, and these are usually rescuing women, like Super Mario.
What's your point? Why does it matter who's playing them?
Because you're saying that it's kind of like it's bad for. It sounds like you're saying that it's bad that it's bad in it that men are never viewed as vulnerable and men are always.
It is bad that women. It is bad that that's fine. I'm positing the media as an example of how we think about that, but I don't think that changing the video games is going to change shit. I'm not trying to. I think that we should just make the video games we want. And I don't think that anything will change it. I think always video games are going to have more often the men being the rescuers of females. And I think that there's nothing wrong with that.
And men love these games. It's not women playing these video games. Very few
Holy shit. Yes, I know that. I don't understand how that applies.
By comic books, yes, the men are strong and they're rescuing women. And
so when did I say that there's a problem with...
Okay, do you think that men would want to play a video game where they're constantly being rescued by a woman?
No, which is why I have constantly fucking said that there is no problem with the video games having male rescuers and female damsels in general. that is going to always be more common, and that is not a bad thing.
Oh, be right back. I had to go a little bit. You can sing or whatever while I'm gone.
No, okay. Well, we've been doing this for a little bit of a while. Why don't we call it now?
Oh, okay. It looks like neither one of us was able to convince the other of anything. So,
yeah, I still don't think you even understand what I was trying to say.
So this was a live debate and a very live, heated debate. And I'll probably change this. I'll probably change the name of this hangout to, Danny versus Ren or whatever. Anyway, no hard feelings,
No, absolutely not.
Like we're still friends. We're not breaking up our friendship over this little thing. Friends,
fuck you, Ren. I hate you now.
friends disagree with each other sometimes. We're not the same person. We're not gonna agree on everything, but we're not gonna break up a friendship.
Yeah, Ren's allowed to be wrong sometimes.
Huh?
You're allowed to be wrong sometimes. It's okay.
Yeah. Friends disagree with each other, so it happens, I still view you as a friend. I still enjoy your company, and I still like having you around,
You too, Ren. Like, no, I'm not, like, I have no feelings of animosity towards you. I like these arguments.
Yeah, I'm just saying this for any viewers who might be watching, because we do have the occasional one viewer that pops up to watch, Some just, let it get out there because like I just don't want people to think that we're gonna stop being friends over this. I know that we both know this, but you're still welcome on my hangouts anytime you want, like whenever you want to come to hang out, just like, hey, or I'll invite you. You're more than welcome to come on because I like having you around.
Yeah. Well, thanks very much for having me on.
Yeah, and you're welcome to come on anytime you want, and I would love to invite you again. Like if I could have you again next week, that would be awesome.
All right. I'll see if I'm available. I think I've actually been asked onto another hangout for next week, though.
Or if you, I mean, if you're gonna do social justice warriors, I am very keen on coming on.
All right then. I'll DM you about it.
All right. Bye.
Bye. Are we off?